Test, test, test. Okay, well, we're just going to go with laptop sound. Sorry about that. Looks like we have 3 minutes and 30 seconds of dead air, and that means we're going through sound right through the laptop. So, ah, you know. Okay, well, I am Drew Wash. This is From Domain to Profit. And if you sat here for 3.5 minutes of me messing with technology, then you must really, really want to see some great domain names. I'm hoping I can bring that to you today because you've bared with it. So here we go. We're going to be looking through some domains this week that are expiring that you may want to buy. And I'm also going to share with you which domains not to buy, what domains to buy, what domains not to buy. Then we're also going to talk about why start a business on a domain name versus all the different other options out there. So I've done many things over the course of my life, whether it is I've I've done lawn care. I've wanted to start a coffee shop for many, many years and even bodybuilding for the purpose of doing it and decided not to. I'm going to share you the lessons that domain name showed me to make me realize that that lifelong dream of running that coffee shop was actually going to be a big mistake. Lots of good information, lots of reasons to watch all the way to the end, which I would typically run our intro right now, but I'm not going to because, well, the music won't work. I don't know how that'll work. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to figure it out as we go along. So let me get a screen set up here, and we are going to head on over to. Well, actually, let me say hi to everybody. Thanks for bearing with me. Let me see here. I see lots of you here. It always throws me off as I get, things get messed up. So I appreciate you bearing with me. Michael, nice to see you here. And yes, Matt was pointing out that we're trying to fix that audio, which we managed to get done. So 3.5 minutes into things, we managed to get there. And here we go. Lee, thanks for coming in and bearing with the audio as well. I believe that we have some interesting stuff for you today. Some stuff that, lessons that I've managed to learn to avoid just the hassles of life. Chances are you're here because you want to make money. You want to run a business. You want to be the master of your own domain. You want to control your own life. You want to have money coming in through something you've created, so you don't have to count on like the man in some way, some authority figure to be gracious enough to reward your efforts with a salary or an hourly wage, or maybe you just want to take that hobby to the next level and make a couple bucks. Well, if that's you, if that's what you're here for, then I hope to live up to that today and show you why domain names are where you should do this. Whether it's a hobby, whether it's a full out enterprise that you want to take on, domain names are where you should set the foundation and do it. So, to start things off, though, let's get set up in the actual domain names. We're going to look at and share some screens as we go out to our buddies over at expireddomains.net, which is the free tool that we use to search through domain names each week. And I'm going to show you how to get in here, expireddomains.net. You can set up a free account, click over to Marketplace Domains here, and then the GD expired. And then we always have to set up our filters. Otherwise, you're going to be hand searching through over 500,000 domains. If you have that kind of time, then, yeah. I don't know who has time to go through 500,000 domains. I know a lot. You better write some filters and not do that manually. Okay, so I'm getting rid of numbers. I'm getting rid of hyphens in domain names. I am, for me, English 1 to 3 words is what I'm looking at. If you're really on a budget, you can sneak in possibly a 4-word domain name, but you're going to want to hang out in the 2 to 3 word area typically for budget wise. By budget, I mean if you're looking to find a great domain name without spending 4 figures or more. So if you want to keep it 3 figures, even 2 figures, then 2 to 3 words are going to be where you're going to want to live. And then I'm adding in the .com because that's all we look at on this show is the .com. Applying those filters, we will magically take our domain names from the 500,000 domains down to about 20% of that, down to 128,000. Then I'm going to zoom in. So what I did prior to the show was I looked through most of this first page and I set up a little game for us. So let me zoom back out a little bit. I'm going to go over to my saved domains, which you'll see I have a couple of them highlighted here. And on the first page, I pulled out these domains here. These are the domains I've starred. And we're going to start with I have 8 domains here. One of these domains is here as a test. One of these domains, Drew believes you should not buy. So the question is, which one do you think that is? Which domain out of these domains should you not buy? And let me just give you a hint. Software Index is there. I mostly because my history is I used to make my money off of index related domains. So movingindex.com and cabinindex.com, those paid my way through college. So I'll give you a hint just in case you're wondering. You can do it with an index. So that's one of the ones I will include that you will want to be on. So there you go. Out of 7 domains then, which of these do you believe we should not purchase? And I was trying to look to see if it shows the bidding price. Because if I'm not mistaken, this one, the domain I'm going to remove is actually already bid up to hundreds of dollars. So let me see. Any guesses? I'm trying to stall just in case somebody live wanted to mention in the chat. Because I'm guessing. Okay, here we go. So listed here, we have softwareindex.com, VeniceTours.com, which I also saw that Peter Askew mentioned in his domain development newsletter as well. We have thermalspa.com, allergyalert.com, hairlossprevention.com, socialmedianetwork.com, easyclaim.com, and lectures.com. And boom, I love this. You guys are awesome. Look at this. I got 2 right answers here. Jason Shepard pulling in the victory for Social Media Network is the no-go. And Michael as well pulling in Social Media Network. And you guys are absolutely correct. When you're looking for development, even though we talked about this last week, chances are you see Social Media Network and you're thinking, ooh, that's like a real thing. That's like great words all smashed together. And you would be right. They're great words all smashed together, except for what the heck's a social media network? It's like made up. It's not a real thing that people are wanting to put money behind. What are you going to do? Build a social media network on social media network? Like, is that even a thing? Like, I don't even know if that makes sense. So if I'm not mistaken, let's look. So if you were possibly thinking about buying a domain name, okay. Well, when I looked, this domain name was up over $500 already at auction. It has since been renewed, but over $500 for a domain name, I'd register it for maybe $80 or something just for the fun of it. But that domain name is not a good development domain name. So we'll talk about some of these other ones as well. Software Index is a great word for a directory if you want to list out software products. Like I said, I paid my way through college with spy software, but also movingindex.com, cabinindex.com. So Software Index could be a good directory of software products by type of software and so on and so forth. Software is digital, so you could sell digital copies or links to affiliate programs. Lots that you can do with that domain name. Depending on the price, may be worth it. VeniceTours.com, as the guy that owns tourguides.com, I like it from the travel perspective. I'm a big fan of travel domains. I love the travel, so I look for domains that match and give me reasons to possibly mix business with pleasure. And Venice Tours falls into that category. This would be a very local play, though. As somebody I've been to Venice numerous times, there's lots of tours and tour operators there. Uh, there's lots of business with it, but you know, I'm not a huge fan of geo domains, domains that target specifically a location. But if you can get VeniceTours.com for, 1,200 bucks and do a directory of tour operators, then it could be possibly worth that. Let me click on it. Let's see what it is going for. It's probably already up over. So it's 6 days left. It's at around $1,000. Let's do a little background on this domain to get an idea of these keywords. Because I'm saying 1,200 bucks, but the fact that it's already around 1,000 makes me question whether that's vanity. That's vanity. So vanity, what I mean by that is the data. So people searching for this keyword and the cost per click of this domain name, you'll see that it doesn't really back up. It doesn't back up the price of the domain name. So based on this is a $400 domain name. So the thing is, even though it's cheap, even though the keyword data doesn't back it up, if you call a tour operator that operates in Venice and you say, hey, I own VeniceTours.com, would love to add your company to it, chances are it would meet the guidelines that we have for a good domain name, which is it validates the person that's on it. So it's a validating domain name, and it also has authority, which I just realized I was not sharing out my screens to show you this keyword data here. I was over on SEMrush. This is the domain name typed in keyword form into SEMrush. You can see here the volume, 390 searches for it, and $1 is what we're looking at. So the keyword, that's what I mean by the keyword data is not backing up our impression of this domain name. Now the thing is, sometimes the keyword data doesn't really matter. There's also that authority piece, the validation that you get from the domain name. A tour operator that operates in Venice that says that, I'm featured on VeniceTours.com, boom, win. Or if they were the one that owned VeniceTours.com, chances are that would really help their business stand out from the crowd that is all branded and everything else. So hopefully that brings a little bit of clarity as to VeniceTours.com. I still would think 1,200 bucks, would be a good price. It's a little hefty on the price, but the authority that it would present, especially if you can go face to face and talk to some of the tour operators, you get 12 of them to pay you 100 bucks a year, and you pay for the domain name. And I think you can do better than 12. But actually, I've not done the keyword search on that to know. But 1,200 bucks is safe enough that if I was looking to develop it, I don't know if I'll participate in that or not. Okay, so thermalspa.com, I believe that one is a little bit more of a brandable play. Thermal spas, though, I wanted to include it because I've been on Amazon, and I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, which our winters, of course, snow, ice, freezing all the time, and during the winter. So my wife hates the cold. I don't mind the cold, but I'm like, maybe we'll get one of those, one of those little closet saunas or whatever. They have these saunas that you can order on Amazon. You bring them in, you plug them into the electric, and it's a sauna. So it's a thermal spa, maybe. Actually, is that a brand? Yeah. Okay, so I was thinking thermalspa.com, products related to thermal spas, maybe even the saunas. The only thing is that may be a trademarked brand. So you may want to watch out on that, but I do like it for that play, that idea of finding maybe hot stone massages or places that you can, use. Man, I am really saunas. Okay, and then allergyalert.com. I'll take a break after this one here and move and talk a little bit about why domain names. But allergyalert.com. I have a business owner friend of mine. He runs an allergy clinic down in Houston, Texas, and he keeps an eye out on the allergy indexes and things like that in the area, and he puts out emails to his clients, his customers. He's a doctor of allergies. I don't know what kind of doctor that would be, but he deals with allergies, and he keeps them notified of, hey, use your inhaler or whatever else. He sends out allergy alerts. So when I saw allergyalert.com, I'm like, I'm sure there's allergy doctors all around the US and world that probably want to do the same, and they can be the official allergy alert, doctor in that area. The allergy index, probably pollen and those kinds of things, are all measured by somebody else. You just interpret it for your customers and show up as the authority figure on allergies on allergyalert.com. So let me see if that's available. I didn't click on the other ones. So that one's currently $90. That ends tomorrow. So if you're going to participate in that one, I believe that there is some fun business. This would be a fun tool, less of a huge money making project, more of a fun tool to empower doctors and customers and things to. My wife suffers from allergies. She might like to get text messages with allergy alerts or something. So anyhow, there's some good plays with that. So maybe worth tossing a little bit of money at, especially if you're going to develop it. Develop your domains. If you're here for inside information, make sure you, develop these things. Okay, hairlossprevention.com. Well, let's take a break there. I'm going to pull out Social Media Network. You can't even see my screen. I got to remember to share my screen. I'm all whopper jawed. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about is this idea of why domains. We talk about it every week in many ways, in a nuanced way, but we don't really make a big deal out of it. So if you're an entrepreneur or somebody that just wants to run a business, you have so many different options. I just was talking to a buddy's son of mine. He's like, he's interested in starting a business, and he came up to me, and I asked him the wrong question, and I kicked myself after the fact. He asked me, or he told me that he's interested in entrepreneurship, would love to sit down with me and have a cup of coffee and just talk about it, which of course, I love that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to teens and people that are, developed a love early. And I asked him what every single other person out there is going to ask him, which is, what kind of business do you want to start? It's like, God, that's the wrong question. That's the wrong question. It's not what kind of business you want to start. It's more about what kind of goals you have in your life. What is that you're wanting to do? Like, why would you want to start this business? What is it what feelings and what kind of life do you see yourself getting because of running a business? You'll hear me often talk about business is the way to generate freedom and flexibility for your life, and that entrepreneurship is as much about creating freedom and flexibility for your life as it is anything else. You want to be able to go and pick up your kid after preschool, no problem. I have that freedom and flexibility in my life. If I want to, next week I think I'm going to travel out to New York since they're starting to open back up. I haven't booked that yet. I haven't even researched it yet. I'm going to look it up after this show and probably go to New York next week. Freedom and flexibility. Like, I can do all of that because of the businesses I have on domain names. So let me just kind of bring over to Skycam here and move things around. I love good old Skycam. So when we start a business, or when we're kind of looking to start a business, I always have this thing where I would walk down the street in my old towns. I grew up in Lachlan, and Lachlan is a old industrial town. So we have all these giant brick buildings all over the place from Stearns and Foster's. It's a mattress company that they didn't use them. So these brick buildings, these giant, massive industrial structures are all collapsing. One of them caught on fire at one point. Like, they're gone now. It's all fields. But growing up, I would walk by these old structures, the industrial buildings, but also the retail storefronts that used to be thriving retail storefronts when everybody shopped in their own little hometown, and they were vacant. And I always thought, well, if I had, this little retail storefront, I could do so much stuff. I could sell, uh, game shop. I could run just when your imagination. If you're an entrepreneur, you chances are uh, you've never had a bad idea when it comes to running a business. You see an empty store shop or a great domain name, and you think, "Ooh, I could do this. Ooh, I could run a coffee shop out of this. Ooh, I could run a game center." I always wanted to uh, network together a bunch of Xboxes, and people would pay like an hourly rate or something to come in and play socially on video games. I always wanted to do that kind of thing. Like I said, I even bought a building to do that. But you see an empty storefront and you suddenly think, huh, well, what are the things that you could possibly do with that? Well, if you own that building, you're going to make your money from rent, right? That owner is going to rent it, or they could put a business into it. Certainly an option to create a business in a storefront, do the coffee shop or whatnot. The only thing so let's talk about some of the limitations when it comes to that. So if you rent it out, you're only going to have one tenant. So there's going to be one customer, so you can make a nice monthly fee, and that's kind of nice if that's what you want, is just turn your real estate into a nice monthly fee. We can do that with domain names as well. A domain name has the option of leasing. In fact, I just got notification this morning, just before the show, that one of my domain names is on a 60-month payment plan lease that's going through right now. So I'll be making a couple $100 every single month until that domain's paid off, or until they take possession, or until they break their lease, whatever it is. I can make that same tenant, and instead of selling the domain name or developing it myself, I just make rent. I make tenant, one tenant at a time. So the other option here is restricted. Oh, here we go. Walls. So let's say that you want to do something new with your storefront, and you've rented it, you own it, whatever it is, and you're like, oh man, there's this new business idea, we should do something with it. For example, let's do this crazy game center with a bunch of arcade games. And you start looking at your space, this building that you purchased, and now you're like, oh, we'd have to tear down this wall, or this building isn't big enough. It's not made for this kind of thing. And you're limited by this physical building, because it's a physical thing. It has walls, it has bricks, it has concrete, and you're limited. I mean, a plot of land, like, you may be able to build up, but you're restricted. You're going to have neighbors, right? Okay. Well, and then of course there is location, which hopefully you can still see that a little bit. But you have the location of your building, and we all know that what matters most to your restaurant, to your retail space, location, location, location. It's all that matters. And I've seen numerous businesses that try to create some great restaurant or some other business, and they try to do it in a bad location, and they fail, because location matters if you are running a physical storefront. So the location can be a positive if you're in a great place, but it also can be a negative if you're in a bad place, or if a restaurant can only handle so many customers at night. So no matter what, you're going to be restricted even by your location. There's always a negative associated with it. So hopefully that makes sense. Like, anybody out there wish that they could do a storefront? Like, I always wanted to do a storefront. I thought it would be a blast. And who knows, maybe I possibly will someday do some kind of storefront in retirement, when I want to stay in one place. That's the thing. You got to stay in one place. That location is fixed, right? I'm not running off to New York or Orlando or Las Vegas or San Diego or any of these other places that I head off to. I won't be doing that if I have to run my store. And you can say, oh, you can hire people. Well, that's true, except for it had such complexity to running this store to find that person that can run it, that to be able to afford that person even. The things get carried away. So let's like contrast this with domains. So I'm going to step over here just a little bit, and let's say that we have a great .com. And with our .com, we don't have to worry about location. Location is everywhere you have internet access, which there's not too many places you don't have internet access anymore, right? Like your .com could be put, as long as it's on the internet, you can get to it from a plane. You can get to it from a cruise ship. You can do business anywhere you have internet, which is pretty much anywhere anymore. And now that they're starting to move internet access to satellites and stuff, you're literally going to be able to get it anywhere. So location's not an issue. We don't have location issues. We can rent. We still have all the benefits of a storefront. We can rent that domain name out to somebody that wants to develop it or use it in some way, which is what I'm doing. Like pretty much any domain that's not developed of mine, I would love to have partners or other people leasing those domains or even possibly buying them. But I want them developed. That's the priority, is to develop those domain names. So I'll just say that I can still lease out a domain name, but here's the thing. Here's something you cannot do with with a storefront. You could not lease this storefront out to thousands of people, right? This storefront is only owned by that one person, only really one tenant. Sure, even if you put a market into it, maybe a dozen people can be leasing that store from you. But over here with the .com, and unfortunately the camera is going to lose me a little bit, but when it comes to a .com, you can do thousands rent to thousands of people. So how would you do this? How would you rent a .com out to thousands of people? Well, here's the thing. We do this with towing.com. This is like our entire business model of what we do is we take super premium domain names. We take these domain names that every towing company out there that values the internet at all would love to own, but they can't. And because, well, realistically, who wants to go pay, six figures for a domain name in 2007 or whatever when we did? Well, what we do is we break that domain down and we share it with that entire industry. Same thing we do with DJs. It's the internet marketing as a service business model that we live and die by, sharing premium domain names with thousands of entrepreneurs. So instead of having one tenant, we have 1,000 tenants that we can serve from anywhere we want to. And they still have all the benefits of a positive location, because a premium domain name is going to still get traffic and have potential to get even more traffic if the content on that domain name gets you, listed in the search engines and ranking higher and higher. You can by far generate more visibility on a domain name than you can on a storefront. I don't know how many views a storefront on Times Square gets, but I can tell you right now, our domains, most of them, well, not most of them, a couple of our domain names generate 1 million views or visitors a year. 1 million visitors to a .com domain name. Not bad. And I can do that from anywhere in the world. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully the .com, let me make sure I got, so here's the power of the way that these domains work as well. So if you have a storefront, you decide to walk down your store, you're walking down the road, you see a vacant spot with a for rent, and you're like, oh, I'm going to build something in here. I'm going to run my business out of this storefront. And you start to do it, and you're like, man, this is fun. I'm making money. I love running businesses because, of course, well, they're stressful, but they are a blast. Here's what it comes down to. Let's say that something new comes along and you're running a coffee shop, and You see an opportunity to, um, I'm not sure, that some other maybe coffee related or not related to coffee, and you're kind of like, maybe I want to sell pitchers of coffee, or I want to package coffee in cups or something and ship them over the internet or something. That space that you already pay rent on, the space that you've committed to that has already provided success for you, doesn't have the flexibility in a retail space. This retail space will not be able to provide the infrastructure for you to add this new business. You lack variety when it comes to a storefront. You're kind of, it's one thing or not. If you ever walked into, have you ever walked into a like an old hardware store, or there used to be a place down the road from where I'm standing called Bargain Barn. And Bargain Barn was kind of it was kind of a hardware store. It was kind of a lot of things. They had lawn fixtures for like fountains and things, but basically it was an entrepreneur who had a space and they just wanted to do and sell different things. So they sold a hobby related to plumbing, and they sold some stuff for the front lawn because maybe they were interested in that at some point. And they got bored with that, so they wanted to add these knickknacks over here. And they kept adding on all their different stuff until, what is this store? It's just a place to go when you just want to look through stuff. And it's practically a flea market with a roof. And we've all been to these kind of businesses where we go in, it's like, oh, it's a convenience store, but they're selling fresh fish over in the corner. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, we don't understand what the store is. And when we go into a store, we expect it to be about, well, we expect it to be kind of logical. Well, with a domain name, you can do multiple things on one domain name. For example, when we do towing.com, towing.com is all things towing. You could find local towing companies on the domain name. But what we're starting to do now is we're also expanding the domain name to other related topics that we're interested in doing. We want to make sure that we could serve our customers and use this domain name in a way that's fun. So we're now putting trucks for sale up on it. And we're going to allow vendors and people that sell to towing companies, so dispatch programs, dispatch services, all the things that are related to towing, they're going to be able to also use towing.com. So that same property, that same .com property is now going to allow us to add variety. Yeah, it's under the umbrella of towing, but it's also completely different from our original business model. Not completely different. We're sharing a domain name with other people in the industry. But so hopefully that just shows you a little bit of that idea of variety. When I came down to, when I told you I wanted to run a coffee shop forever. Like, I still want to because I love coffee. I love it. And I enjoy it, and I wanted to run a coffee shop where we roasted our own coffee and all these different things. Then I realized that I would be stuck in that shop, in like, I would be tied to it. I'd be anchored to that physical location. And then when I thought about the fact that I would, like, I love business ideas. I love being able to move into different industries, meet new people, learn about how they bring value to the world through some, different industry. And I realized, yeah, I could possibly do it while I'm sitting in my coffee shop, but it's going to be through the internet. It's going to be while I'm tied to this location. And I was like, that's not good enough for me. I don't want to do this forever. I just want to do it for now. And that's one of those things where, if I can give you a warning for you gun ho entrepreneurs out there who want to start a business, and it's just to look at the future, make sure that the business that you're looking to start is going to give you the lifestyle that you want in the future. If you are okay being tied down to your business, to a physical location, then retail, sure, absolutely. I have to think it's a blast having people coming in, your regulars coming in, buying some coffee, sitting with you, chatting. Just what a great way to participate in the community. But if that's not what you want to do every day for 20 years, then maybe that's not the best way to go for it. And for me, that's certainly not the case. I want to meet a lot of people, deal with a lot of businesses, yes, but I want to be able to bounce into different industries because entrepreneurship's what I love, not necessarily one specific industry. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that gives you some insight that will help you maybe prevent you from being one of these people that start a business, get way down the road, and then just go, man, I am just not wanting to do this anymore. I have to think that just recently, as COVID caused a lot of businesses to kind of close or to change, that a lot of business owners uh, they just didn't have the fight left in them, and a lot of these businesses that are going to be closing, which a lot of them are, a lot of restaurants and bars are already closed and not going to be reopening. It's a bunch of people that realize this fact that as much as they love that business, especially at the beginning, it's just you don't want to go through that survival mode for something that's tying you down. You've already went so many years without a vacation and lived a life that was maybe fun through the bar, but at the same time limited you, and didn't give you some kind of great new future. So there you go. Okay, let's get back some domain names. So hopefully that's set up though. This idea of storefront, retail, office space, traditional business versus domain name based businesses. If you want variety, if you want to be able to have thousands of customers on a website that you build and maintain from anywhere in the world, .com domains are the way to go with that. A premium .com domain. So let's look at some more domains, and we'll start to search through the domains as well, and find some good ones that maybe you can start to build this flexible life that maybe you want. So, okay, so let's go back. I'm going to share out my screens one more time. We already decided social media network. It is listed here, but it is a trap that was used to show what domain not to buy. Luckily, it's not available anymore. EasyClaim.com. Let's see if this one is available. And okay, EasyClaim.com. 8 days left, so this one's going to be closing just around the time that we're doing the show next week. Here's why I included EasyClaim. This was on the first page of the list that I kind of pre-looked at before the show. $85 currently. It has an estimated appraisal $8,900. That is like a end user appraisal. Typically, you would probably never, don't ever use that to value a domain name. It just is nice to give you a little bit of an idea. EasyClaim though, here's what I was thinking when I added this. There are so many little insurance things, whether it's health insurance or especially when I added this, I was thinking electronics. When you buy an electronic, you may buy the extended warranty. And I don't know this for certain. Pretty sure. I'm not the person that deals with insurance type stuff in my family. Luckily, my wife does it. But you ever have that feeling that insurance companies like make filing a claim as difficult as possible? I'm sure you do know that feeling if you deal with it, because I think it's the truth. I'm not going to say it is because they have a lot of lawyers, but it's really complicated to file a claim. So what if EasyClaim.com was the customer's like offense against the complicated claim processes when it comes to product warranty, filing for against a warranty or insurance, or even going as far as helping people file claims on their health insurance, home insurance. They all say, oh, we're so easy in their commercials, but realistically, anybody that's ever had to do it, it's way more complicated. And right now, to my knowledge, there's no one like website out there that's like fighting to help consumers get the value out of their insurance like they could. So EasyClaim could be a service that, yes, it has free tutorials on how to file a claim with each of the different insurance places, but then maybe it also has some additional weapons that you can pay for to where they, start the claim process, keep track of everything. That's like, who has time to keep track of all these documents and conversations? but maybe it's even an email address that you start your claim using an Easy Claim email address. Everything's filed and organized as communications go in and out, calls are logged, everything happens to where now when 6 months down the road they're telling you that your claim's denied because they didn't get form F222B, you can be like, oh, Easy Claim, boom, we filed that here, it shows received, boom, Easy Claim, helping you organize your claim process, whether it's for health insurance or whatnot. I think it's a nice brand, and it's a service that I know that I would love to participate in. Of course, sounds like a lot of red tape and bureaucracy to deal with. But if you are that person, then gosh, thank you in advance if you take that project on. But easyclaim.com, ending in 8 days, currently $85. And I love that one. It's going to be a more complicated development process, most likely. But at the same time, the world needs that service. So there you go. Lectures.com, lecturers.com. So it's a single word domain name. So there's something to be said there. 97 is when it was registered, so it's pretty old domain name. And I'm gonna go make sure it's still available over here. So $116. Again, this one's going to be ending, looks like Sunday or next Monday. $116, what it is. For a single word domain name like this, it's going to be all about keyword information. So let's figure out and look at whether this keyword is worth a darn. So I'm going over to semrush.com, which someday I'll have to remember to someday do a show on some of the tools that you can use, because there's other ones. There's SEMrush. There's another site, I think, similarweb.com, ahref.com, moz.com gives you some tools too that just show you a lot of cool data related to keywords and domain names. So we'll have to do a tool show someday. So here you can see some great information. We have search volume around 27,000 for this domain. That's a big amount of volume. Difficulty is very high because it's a single word. Any single word domain is going to have high difficulty on the SEO part. $1.50. So in theory, just looking at this data, you would think, oh, maybe it's a $27,000 domain or even more. Then you could look down here. We talked about this last week, especially that S, the plural and singular domain name share value. And in some cases, they share the keyword they share the keyword volume. And that's exactly what's happening here. You'll see that 27,000 searches includes for lecture. So it's not even including lecturer or lecturers. So there's a lot of domains and keywords being combined by Google with this domain. So you might go 27,000 times 1. Oh, that's $27,000 domain name. Well, let's go out here and do a search for the actual keyword on Google. Now we're going to check for actual ads. Are there any ads? Is there actually... The tool SEMrush is telling us that there is money behind this domain name, that people are paying for it. I just did a search for that domain or for the keyword, and you'll see here, I'm not seeing any money. Yeah, there's like no ads up on the top, no ads in the middle or on the side. Basically, Google's not really making money from this domain. I don't even see any on the bottom. Yeah, there's really nothing happening with this domain name. The idea that the domain name is generating money is likely not going to happen. So what do you think that does to the value of this domain? Yep, significantly. I think that somebody's probably going to be enticed by the fact that it's a single word domain name. They're probably going to spend a couple $1,000. I would struggle to even know if it's going to be worth a couple $1,000. I don't think there's really money behind it, but there is some cool development that you can do with it, assuming money is not necessarily your objective. Lecturers, for example, when I think of lecture, I'm thinking of education. and professors and educators are notoriously not paid very well. But they may have their lectures on, videos of them, or school teaches it. Like, there's ways that you can use this domain name. Uh, Little less money, little more emphasis on serving the world through educating them. So if you can play that angle, there's always way you can make money with it. But it's this right here, lecturers, little tough. So if you can get this domain name for $1,000 or less, I don't know if that's going to happen, because, like I said, there's going to be speculators that are going to pay a couple $1,000 for it. It may be a fun way to put together a class type of domain name with emphasis on professors and more educational type speakers versus motivational or just business coaches. They have their own side. They have their own sites that they can speak on. Lecturers can be just primarily for, like, college professors and things. If you make that distinction, which is going to be a little difficult to do, but if you can do that, then sure, develop something out. You can probably make some money on it by featuring lectures or selling maybe courses by people that make money off courses. I don't know. There's a lot of money in courses anymore. Uh, I just I'm not always about the money. You hope maybe you've learned that by now. Oh, I got to set up my filters again. So let me set up my filters real quick again, because I want to look through for the last couple minutes the live domain names, as well as I can answer any, if there's any questions, if I've missed anything. I don't see any, so that's good. So as always, if you're watching this on Restream and you have any questions about the domain names, I may not be able to get back to you in a timely basis. So if it's a domain name that the auction's expiring or ending soon, I might not get back to you in time, but please feel free to comment or add something to the chat as well. So I'm going to zoom in here. We're going to look through the page 2 for a couple minutes and see if we can find. So feel free to shout out domain names that you see that you like, and I can either give it a yes or a no, depending on whether I think it's correct for development. That's the key. Development is what we're looking at here, which there's always, brandables and other things other reasons you might pay big money for domain names. Single personals, fundamental market. See that 2 words put together sounds like a good domain name, but it's not. It's a trick. Raging woman. Okay, page down. There we go. Hopefully the mic on that laptop's been working okay. Sorry my fancy stuff kicked out earlier. Tech issues, man. Empowered choice, brandable, tough words. I'm going to speed it up if you're following along. I'll try to go a little bit faster. Homes Orlando. Again, that's that plural in the middle of a domain name. Avoid an S in the middle. Some unusual cases it may make sense, but Homes Orlando. Actually, Home Orlando would be better, but not much. Max Filter. It's a brandable, local flow. Business Perform. There's some. Look at this SEO juice. I guarantee this one's going for some money just for search engine purposes. Let's go look at it real quick. Someday I plan on having Sean on to talk about domains from a search engine optimization standpoint. Okay, well, it's $17. I don't like the domain name Perform, Business Perform. That's the wrong kind of word. Business Performance would maybe make a little more sense. But it's saying that it has 13,000 backlinks, 415 domains linking to it, and these are also some SEO words over here. So probably something that's going to appear on his list this week. Joy Delivery. I like that one. That one sounds like a fun domain. Jewish Church. It's some mixed messages there because it would be a synagogue. Anyhow, just in case you're wondering why it's missed messages. News generator. Huh. Sounds like a fun AI tool. News generator. I feel like that's what most news does anymore, right? They generate news, enter a headline in, we'll write an entire story for you. Okay. Rocket Logistics. That's a fun brand name. I'm going to add that to my list to look at later, just for branding. I don't talk about brandable domains much on here, but the brand, when I look at domains for investment, it's usually in transportation, trucking, logistics. Those are my main. I probably have the best portfolio of transportation related domain names out there, including towing.com. Creamiest, that I would not visit that no. Okay. Let's see here. Wedding savings could be something to do with weddings there. Delivery agent, that probably has uh, some purpose behind it. In fact, let's look at that one. Delivery agent. Agent is often more of a legal type of word. So let's see if there's any SEO. This will be our last domain name. We'll finish up on this domain. Hopefully, it gives us something unexpected. So I'm guessing this would be more of a like a legal, maybe not much volume. So the volume it has a good cost per click, delivery to agent for final delivery. So these are referring to agents are typically legal agents of businesses. Businesses have agents that represent them uh, like a physical address. So if you wanted to sue somebody, you would most likely have to serve their legal agent, which, yes, it could be the business owner, but in some cases we have, like, for example, we have agent services. Okay, so that domain was a little bit of a bust. Thought there might be a little niche there, but I love those. Love it when you can find a little domain name that's perfect for a small audience, especially if you're looking for that first. Las Vegas air conditioning. Look how long that is. That's also, that'd be 4 words. But see, that's an example of like a 4 word. Although I guess people maybe consider Las Vegas 1 word. Doctor order. That would be one case where if you had doctor orders. Yeah. Okay, wrapping up. Well, thanks for bearing with me through the few minutes of technical difficulties that we had at the beginning. And here we go. Let me just go into this real quick because Jason mentioned that delivery agent was also Alexa ranked. So it did have some, so that somebody has done something on that. Alexa is not Alexa as in Amazon's voice thing, although Amazon doesn't own it. Alexa measures the traffic of a domain name. So there's a tool out there that shows you, like, of all the websites, how do they rank in traffic. It's mostly estimates, but still worth seeing. So, oh yeah. So here, Jason just mentioned that my columns are in a different order. Yeah, I've altered mine quite a bit to try to get my expireddomains.net to fit on the screen. It still doesn't. There's too much important data on these domains. I like most of the ones I have there. I would go into it right now, but I do. My columns on my expireddomains.net I tried to get them down to just the bare minimum of what I may want when I'm looking through a domain name. And you can do that through settings and change things around a little bit, which I've done. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me. It's another great Monday. Hope your week is going to be awesome. Hopefully, you found some great domain names either here or on your own searches, and develop those domain names, domain developers, because we need this real estate to bring value to the world. That's what we're here to do, and that's what I hope you will do. And keep me posted on any domain projects you have. Someday I'll live up to the idea of bringing people on. We'll look at other people's developments, see some of the stuff that's going on. Until then, I'll see you next week, Monday, 3 p.m., possibly from New York City. We'll see. Take care.